and welcome back. My name is Laura, aka PC, and today we're going to be reading about Romans and Philippians. As we study the New Testament further, we find that teaching and bearing witness to the truth about Jesus are not the only things women are called and empowered by God to do. They were also leaders. Phoebe is one example of a woman who was called by God to be a leader in the early church. Writing to the Christian assembly in the Church of Rome, Paul uses the following words to introduce Phoebe and commend her ministry. And I commend you to Phoebe, our sister, being a ministrant. I'm going to put the Greek words up on the screen for you so I don't have to stumble over them. Of the assembly that is in Cenchrea, that ye may receive her in the Lord as doth become saints, and may assist her in whatever matter she may have need of you. For she also became a leader of many and of myself. Romans 16, 1 through 2, YLT. Phoebe, the two Greek words of interest are used in this passage to describe Phoebe. The first is Strong's Concordance summarizes the meaning of in the following manner. In the New Testament, it usually refers to the Lord inspiring his servants to carry out his plan for his people as his minister. In the context of a person's role in the church, Paul's use of the term is sometimes translated as minister and other times as deacon. Who is Paul then, and who is Apollos, but ministers through whom you believed, as the Lord gave to each one? And we have such trust through Christ toward God, not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think of anything as being from ourselves, but our sufficiency is from God, who also made us sufficient as ministers of the new covenant. As it is now being revealed by the Spirit to his holy apostles and prophets, that the Gentiles should be fellow heirs of the same body and partakers of his promise in Christ through the gospel, of which I became a minister according to the gift of the grace of God given to me by the effective working of his power. Paul and Timothy, bondservants of Jesus Christ, to all the saints in Christ Jesus who are in Philippi, with the bishops and deacons. Likewise, deacons must be reverent, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy for money. With the aim of translating, Paul consistently, when he is describing a person's role in the church, Phoebe is referred to in some English translations as a minister. But I commend to you Phoebe, our sister, who is a minister in the assembly which is in Cenchrea, and in others as a deacon. I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon, in the church in Cenchrea. Complementarian, or patriarchal, theologians, however, reject the notion that Phoebe can properly be referred to as a deacon. They do not believe that women can be ordained ministers in local church assemblies. This belief is summarized in one complementarian website in the following manner. The term is used of an office with special requirements that women cannot meet. Deacons, likewise, must be men of dignity. The author underlines the part of the sentence that contains the phrase, deacons must be men, apparently to emphasize his point. The problem with this particular English translation is that no Greek manuscripts actually state that deacons must be men. This imperative phrase is added to the text by the translators of the New American Standard Bible. Greek manuscripts simply read this: deacons, likewise, honorable. The same complementarian website also attempts to exclude women from the role of deacon on the basis that the Apostle Paul comments in 1 Timothy 3:12, let deacons be husbands of only one wife, literally a one-woman man, and good managers of their children and their own households. From this passage, it is inferred that deacons must be male, since women cannot be husbands. Again, the website uses underlining to reinforce a complementarian point of view. Paul is not, however, providing instructions regarding the mandatory sex of deacons. He is prohibiting the practice of male polygamy. Certain rabbinical schools in the 1st century AD permitted polygamy for Jewish men. In this letter to Timothy, Paul makes it clear that this practice is not to be endorsed by Christian leaders. In spite of patriarchal additions to the text of 1 Timothy 3:8 and attempts to take Paul's ban on polygamy out of context, the Greek text of the New Testament indicates that a woman named Phoebe was indeed a deacon or minister of the church in Cenchrea. In addition to being referred to as a, Phoebe was also called a blank. Blank is the noun form of a frequently used verb in the New Testament. According to the Strong's Concordance, this word carried the following meanings: to put before, to set over, to rule. In his first letter to Timothy, the Apostle Paul uses the word to refer to church elders who rule well. In the same letter, he also uses the word to refer to bishops and deacons, who must demonstrate their ability to lead in the church by first managing their own households well. In his letter to the Romans, Paul uses the word again to encourage leaders in the church to exercise their spiritual gift diligently. If your gift is to lead, do it diligently. All these passages use a verb form of to describe the function of leadership in either a church or a household setting. According to the original Greek language of the New Testament, this leadership role was filled in the church of Cenchrea by a woman. Many English versions of the Bible do not translate Paul's language consistently when he is discussing a person's role in the church. When a person is assumed to be male, words like minister, deacon, rule, manage, and lead are used. In the case of Phoebe, however, she is referred to as a helper, an assistant, or a kind friend. All of these English translations follow the tradition established by St. Jerome, who substituted the Latin word to stand near or at one side for the Greek word to stand before or stand at the head of in the case of Phoebe. Paul's original language and context are ignored, while patriarchal bias makes the Bible appear to exclude women from ministry and leadership roles that are allegedly reserved for men alone.